Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away go for the first time. Nicholas Borcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to League Zero, the premier Formula iRacing League. We're at Suzuka International Racing Course, where it's the Japanese Grand Prix number 4 of the season. As always, I'm your host, James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second, as it looks like drivers starting to get gridded up here. And let's go ahead and run through the starting order. On pole, the defending champ, Ray Aguilar. Jaden Calloway starting second. Michael Fairchild starting third. Shazi Zuhair, a great qualifying, starting fourth. Antonio Bianchi, the Italian stallion, starts fifth. AJ Brenner starting sixth. Nick Beaver starting seventh. Ben Depew starting eighth. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Australian, starts ninth. Carl Hartwell starting 10th. Andrew Neri starts 11th, with Ryan Tebow starting 12th. Cycling it back one final time, David Iezzi starting 13th, John Kasai 14th. We've got Leo Dalma starting 15th, Julian Madore starting 16th. The Flying Frenchman Xavier Zanave starts 17th. Devin Hughes starting 18th. Jace Meyer starting 19th. Jacob Bramley starting 20th. Jeremy Barber starting 21st. D. Dambois starting 22nd, and Eric Guillory will start 23rd. We've got Dylan Waldron joining us, cheering on Ryan Tebow, that number 27 machine. As we wait for a few more drivers to take the grid, and we'll get things started here tonight, where we have our opening sprint race of the evening. So waiting for a few more drivers to take the grid. Looks like we're waiting on Jacob Bramley, D. Dambois. And then we will get drivers out on track or off in the racing start, as it looks like the grid is going to be set. That number 50 machine will be a DNS. As the lights go off, we are underway, and a lot of smoke up front, as it looked like Ray Aguilar, an absolutely dreadful start, falls all the way back to 6th. Jaden Calloway is going to get the launch of his life here, pulling away 8/10 over the rest of the field. I just saw that was Nick Beaver off track. Jacob Bramley involved in an incident. Bramley finds himself pointing the wrong direction, but looks like he's able to get that machine fired back up. And who do we have here? That's Antonio Bianchi, the number 17. Having a great start as well. He has gained 3 positions early on. Michael Fairchild in third. Fairchild has Zuhair, Aguilar, Brenner in hot pursuit. And this is already off to a pretty wild night here. Devin Hughes has an off-track excursion. Nick Beaver also had an off-track. As it looks like that is Ray Aguilar trying to muscle his way up alongside Zuhair, the number 10 machine. We got Miss Shapiroful. I hope I said that right. If not, my apology. But cheering on Ryan Tebow as well. Eric Gullery, the number 95 machine, a newer driver here at League Zero. He also has an off-track, but doesn't look like he's going to lose too many spots. Let's go back to this battle for fourth that is very, very heated. Shazi Zuhair lost the spot to Aguilar, starting to fire back here. Oh, who's that off track? That's AJ Brenner. Way, way off track. Brenner looks to have grabbed the spot from Zuhair. And Aguilar is going to try and hammer down here. You've also got a battle for now 6. That's Shazi Zuhair, Andrew Neri, Gareth McAllister. And there's another great battle. David Iezzi, the number 29, Carl Hartwell, Nick Beaver. Throwing haymakers at each other. Now, talking to the drivers before this main event, we are expecting the safety car to get deployed here in the sprint with how tight the action was in practice and qualifying. Thankfully, it looks like we're going to get the first lap completed without any major incidents. Oh, Fairchild trying to hold on to third, dips the wheels off track. Way off track goes Fairchild. Loses his spot to Aguilar, and there is Brenner as well. Another crash being reported. The smooth-talking Frenchman Leo Delmas almost pitches it right in front of Jacob Bramley. Thankfully, he was able to hold on to that. And being mindful of the rejoin. Gareth McAllister, the number 25 machine, trying to track down Andrew Neri. Looks like AJ Brenner having a little bit of company from Michael Fairchild. Brenner sitting in fourth, that number 80 machine. Oh, and dips a little bit off the curbing there into the grass, but right behind Brenner, Fairchild, Zuhair, Neri, McAllister. Oh, we've got another crash reported. This time it's Xavier Zanave losing the rear wing on that number 12 machine. Let's see what happened to him here. So Zanave in the green and yellow. Tips it in a little bit hot, around he goes. Didn't quite stand on the brake enough, and that is what's going to sacrifice the rear wing. Jace Meyer getting chased by Ryan Tebow and Julian Madore. And more problems is AJ Brenner being reported with a massive off track. He's fallen all the way back to 12th, down 6th position. Let's see what happened. Oh, you see the right and getting airborne in that Super Formula machine. And while that's going on, Antonio Bianchi has left parts scattered everywhere. Hasn't taken a tow. A very odd place to crash. Oh my goodness. Dips the tires. And then it is a used part. I mean, look at the drivers trying to avoid the wing and everything else left out on track. Did we get a report? Bianchi's going to take a tow back to pit road as we're trying to get the camera pointed. David Iezzi involved in an incident, the number 29 machine. He's going to drop down the standings. So Antonio Bianchi out of this race taking the tow as we watch John Kasai and AJ Brenner having a heated battle. Brenner making up that spot, moving into P9. Now Kasai is going to have Ben DePew right in tow. Now earlier, Xavier Zanave was able to come down pit road on his own power. So there is a chance, granted a small one, that he can get back out on track. And what happened to Jace Meyer here? He's almost 3 wide there. Oh, just gets pinched, runs out of room, and shocked that the wheel fell off there. And unfortunately for Meyer, he's going to join the list of drivers taking a tow back to pit road. And I think Ben Depew may be joining him as well. As Depew looks like, I'm trying to get a shot of him. He takes a tow back to pit road. The replay machine getting overtime here, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a dip, and then unfortunately losing some hard parts off that machine. So Depew going to join the ever-growing list of drivers getting sent home early in the sprint race. Right now it's Callaway, Aguilar, Zuhair, your top 3. Fairchild and Andrew Neri round out the top 5. Neri has company from the world-famous Aussie, Gareth McAllister. And another good talking point, we talked to Jeremy Barber, the number 13 machine, before tonight's show. His goal was a top 18 here at the Japanese Grand Prix round number 4. So good to see one of our favorites, Barber, getting up in the mix and staying consistent. McAllister looks like he wanted to take a shot there against Neri, knowing that Nick Beaver closing up behind. We go on board the Aussie, Gareth McAllister. He's about a half second, 4/10 back from Neri. About a half second up over Nick Beaver. Loving the fact that iRacing put the paddle shifter animations in the sim. A very nice touch for broadcaster, racers, as well as fans at home. Now let's see, there's Nick Beaver, the number 87 machine. He qualified 7th, currently 7th out on track, as McAllister has the check up heavy. You saw the smoke off of Neri's 64 machine, but Neri, I believe, is tied for a hard charger of the night. Neri's up 6 positions, as well as Devin Hughes back in 12th, and Eric Guillory in 17th. So 3 different drivers have all gained 6 positions each. And this battle for the top 5 starting to really heat up. Looks like Nick Beaver wants to pull alongside McAllister. Oh, and is there contact between the two? That's going to give McAllister back in the inside line a big lockup. You can tell McAllister way deeper than he was expecting. But he will fend off. No, that's Nick Beaver taking the spot away from McAllister with the last second lunge. So McAllister is going to fall back to 7th. Beaver up into 6th. And another driver has been reported as crashed out. 2 different drivers. Jeremy Barber involved in an incident. Let's see what happened to him. He stays out on course, the number 13. Just completely misses the braking mark. So thankfully not too terrible of an incident. And then we got to report that Leo Delmas has an incident in the number 21, and he's taking a tow back to pit road. So let's see what happened to what on earth was that? That was a violent crash out of nowhere. I'm not sure what happened to Leo here. I wonder if he grabbed too much left curbing, but absolutely obliterates that machine against the safety barrier. We check in on race leader Jaden Callaway, that number 37. But Ray Aguilar in second still has the fastest lap of the race, a 136.78. About 2/10 on the nose faster than Callaway. As I believe Callaway using the push to pass option available to him here in that number 37. AJ Brenner has gained a spot from Carl Hartwell, as well as keeping the propane man himself, John Kasai, at bay. Looks like Andrew Neri not gaining much time on Michael Fairchild, who sits in 4th, but still has Nick Beaver sitting right behind, about 3/10 behind. You can also see Gareth McAllister still in the fray here as well. Look at this side-by-side shenanigans we have as somebody misses the mark. That was Andrew Neri, and the field's going to barrel in. Oh, it's going to be a big one. Neri, McAllister, Brenner, Hartwell, Kasai, all involved in that one in some shape or form. I don't think we're going to see the safety car deployed since the drivers were able to get it moving again. And let's see if we can assess the damage here. McAllister is going to get the worst of it. He takes a tow back to pit road. Carl Hartwell, the number 79, missing the front wing. So let's get that one queued up. We're focusing on Neri in the 64 machine. The black and gold. Misses the mark. Steps on the loud pedal in there. Excuse me, the stop pedal. I'm trying to think, was that McAllister? That might have spun out following the incident. You can see the front and the rear wing missing on that machine. The front right not even moving. McAllister looks like he's more of in a Formula V than he is a Super Formula. And unfortunately for McAllister, the world-famous Aussie will be joining the list of drivers sent home early in this sprint race. Jaden Callaway still up front. Only 16 drivers out on track with 3 laps left to go in the sprint. Looks like Andrew Neri, who is involved in that initial incident where we saw the big lockup, has AJ Brenner trying to overcome. Brenner's definitely had a bit of a rough night in the sprint race. I thought somebody pitched away. Now Carl Hartwell getting reported as coming down pit road, so I wonder if he had a black flag where he was unable to continue. That's going to put Jeremy Barber up into 14. And Callaway just can't be touched here in the sprint, still maintaining a 2-second advantage over Ray Aguilar. Aguilar looks to be in a league of his own, 10.3 seconds up ahead of Shazi Zuhair. As we pan back to Zuhair, we see Michael Fairchild still about 8/10 behind, but look at that. Aguilar once again sets the fastest lap of the race, with Jaden Callaway getting a personal best on 136.77. So as the tires start to come in and the fuel loads start to lighten, drivers are getting even faster. Well, we were talking well about Jeremy Barber. He has a bit of a bobble there going off track. Let's see what it was. Barber's been running a bunch of endurance racing this year and has helped with his consistency. And even there, even that slight off track, does a good job not letting himself get too much in trouble. As we're focused back in on Neri, Brenner, and Tebow, the 3-car battle for 7th. Our charger out on track currently now. John Kasai, that number 3 machine, has gained 8 positions all the way up into 6th. Looks like Tebow getting a little bit racy here, closing that gap up to Brenner. And there's also a gap going on here between Iezzi and Ladore. In the battle for 11th, side by side they go. You can see Devin Hughes at number 60, just about a 4/10 ahead. But the white flag will be out next time by for Callaway, as we have whittled it down to only 15 drivers out on track here so far. So the attrition has been very, very rough. As Hughes feels company, David Iezzi pitching that car sideways at number 29 machine. But then Devin Hughes is going to go off track. Hughes cutting a little bit of grass here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Let's see what happened there at number 60. He was running so strong. Just pushes wide. Waits for clear track and rejoins. Aguilar stalking Callaway. Aguilar has used up all of the push to pass available to him. Callaway still has some left in reserve here. Now drivers are only giving 200 seconds of push to pass activation per race. White flag is out. Let's see if Callaway gets on the magic button. As it looks like Ray Aguilar gained almost a little over 2/10 of a second that last time by, whittling it down to one. It was briefly up to one, or down to 1.3 second disadvantage he held at Callaway, but Callaway absolutely ripping here tonight. And now you see the push to pass activated at number 37. I'm expecting an absolute heater of a lap time. And while that's going on, third place not all decided. Shazi Zuhair has Michael Fairchild as well as Nick Beaver in very hot pursuit. Less than a half second separating these drivers who are going to be battling for the final podium spot. Less than a half. Oh my goodness, who was that? That was Michael Fairchild. Absolutely gets obliterated there. And the number 88 has to take a toe, pushes wide, the car snaps. And then able to hit both safety barriers at once. So not how he wanted to end the night, or at least in the sprint race, battling for that final podium. But at least he did so in an absolutely spectacular fashion. Checkered flag will fly. Here comes Jaden Callaway, picking up the win. Ray Aguilar is going to get second, and Callaway sets the fastest lap while doing so. And let's see, Shazi Zuhair coming out of the final section, the final chicane. Little bit of a bobble, but will bring home the third. We're going to get these top three drivers up here into victory lane. That's going to be Callaway, Aguilar, Zuhair, bringing it home here to start things off. We've got Zuhair's made his way to the podium area. Looks like we've got Callaway and Aguilar, so the gang is all here. Let's start things off with Shazi Zuhair bringing it home in third. And Shazi, it looked like you really didn't get much of a break there at the end. It was either Fairchild or Beaver, but the entire time you had pressure.
Yeah, it was a pretty stressful race there at the end with Michael there. You know, he never gives up, so he was always pressuring me on. And then at the end there with, I think it was Nick closing in, so had a little slide at the last corner there as well. So happy to finish third, though. It was pretty good.
Now, finishing third in the sprint, that means you'll be starting third for the feature. What does that give you as far as confidence goes, as maybe being a little bit out of the meat grinder now that we don't have the inverted top 12?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best position I could start in. Ray and Jaden are like in another league right now with their pace, so we'll try and make the best out of third position there and see where we can go.
Well, Shazi, always a pleasure. Before I let you go, get ready for the feature. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this third possible for you?
This time it's a big shout out to my wife and my cat, so there you go.
Well done. Shazi, always a pleasure, bud, and hope to have you up here following the feature.
Likewise, thanks, James.
Thank you, sir. That was Shazi Zuhair bringing it home in third. Up next, Mr. Ray Aguilar bringing it in second. Ray, a good, clean race, plenty of fast laps, but it looked like you just weren't there to get within striking distance of Callaway at the end.
No, I really messed up the start and kind of threw it all away right there. I had to get, 4 or 5 positions back just to even get in contention again. But I don't know. I'm going to practice the start some, see if I can dial in this clutch better. We'll see if we can't make it better next time.
Well, you don't have much longer. I mean, less than 9 minutes to try and dial it in. Are you going to be on pit road, maybe doing some practice starts to the crew and see what you can get figured out before the feature event?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. The problem is when we go do like a race start, it seems to be different than when you do it like in a practice capacity, right? It's
how
weird. I don't
so?
know why it's like, I don't know. It's like it seems to spin more, like the tires are colder coming off the start, but they both say they're the same internal temperature. So maybe I just need to dial it back a couple clicks and be okay with sacrificing a little bit off the start to assure that I don't spin it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the smarter move. I say from up here in the broadcast booth, I have no idea. But with the if you can get a better start, do you think that's going to put you in contention to battle it out with Callaway here in the feature?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we're about the same pace. He's super quick and consistent tonight, so I think it'd be a fun show if I can not mess the start up again and not get any early incidents either, which I didn't see what happened in this one. We've been doing better on early incidents, but I saw a bunch of names pop up midway through like lap 3, so who knows.
Well, we'll see if things clear up for the future. But Ray, before I let you go and go work on that car with the crew, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make second place possible for you?
Doritos really brought it home tonight. Team Goon Squad and my teammate Antonio, and Chase Small. He's been putting in the work recently. Just want to say hi to him too.
Awesome, Ray. Best of luck, and hope to have you back up here later tonight.
Love you, James.
Love you too, buddy. That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second. But up next, the man of the first half of the hour, Jaden Callaway, current points leader, and adding another win to the belt here at League Zero.
Yeah, it was a good one. Ray got some wheel spin off the line, and I could use that to my advantage, luckily. And throughout the rest of the race, I kind of just had to manage to push the pass, and thankfully I was able to keep him behind and get the win.
Now, you've had, Jaden, so far this season, you've had a mix of feature and sprint wins. I mean, at Twin Ring, you went back-to-back. I believe the first driver to do so this season, and it seemed like the feature events have been a little bit tougher for you this season. What do you think is maybe the reason for that, or is it focusing on points more so than an individual result?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's definitely been kind of a roller coaster. Some features go really well, others don't, but I just got to focus on what I can control.
Well, it seems like it's going well for you. You've been getting faster and faster, more and more consistent. I mean, you set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, so you've got to be pleased with how tonight's starting for you.
Yeah, definitely, but I can't get too excited yet. I know Ray won't make it easy for me, so just got to focus up for the future.
Awesome. Jane, best of luck out there. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make that happen for you?
As always, my friends and family supporting me and watching, my teammate AJ, and my team Squid Gang Racing.
Awesome. Jaden, always a pleasure, buddy, and best of luck in the feature.
Thank you.
That was Jaden Calloway bringing home in the top spot of the sprint. He was accompanied by Ray Aguilar and Chazi Zuhair. Don't go anywhere. In about 5 minutes, we will be back with more League Zero action for the final race of the evening. Welcome back, race fans. The warm-up is just about finished, and we are going to get things started with the final feature event of the evening. We've got twice the laps and twice the action here at League Zero. We've been seeing Andrew Neri getting a whole lot of love from the fans here tonight from the spectator area. So always great to see the fans coming out and lending their support to the Ohio native. As looks like we're going to get things started. So let's go through the top 12 here. Jaden Calloway starting on pole. Ray Aguilar second. Shazi Zuhair starting third. Nick Beaver starting fourth. John Kasai starting fifth. AJ Brenner looking for a bit of redemption starting sixth. Andrew Neri starting seventh. Ryan Tebow starts eighth. David Iezzi starting ninth. Julian Madore starts 10th. Devin Hughes starting 11th. And Jacob Bramley will round out the top 12 here. Now, we saw and we heard from Aguilar before this race started that he had to work on the starts. There he is, the pink, and what do you call that? Teal, maybe? Eggshell blue? Well, we'll figure that one out. But the number 1 machine is the easier one to call out. Had a dismal start in the sprint, looking for redemption here in the feature, and that time is now, as once the lights go off and turn off, we're going to get things fired off here at the Japanese Grand Prix round number 4. A much better launch from Aguilar, and I just saw one John Kasai absolutely bin it off the start, and we are going to have a safety car deployed here, and I'm not sure who is the race leader. As we're getting even more and more crashes reported. Poor Jeremy Barber looks dazed and confused, which we could probably use to describe him often. But a lot of drivers taking a tow here. So we're going to slow this one way down to see what happened. Let's start focusing in on John Kasai, who I think got a bad launch here. And the number 3 machine, you can see the field stacking up behind him. Forced into 3 wide. And just loops it all on his own. Kasai on the throttle spins it out in a very precarious spot right back into traffic. And here comes the hits. There's the number 19 machine to Ben DePew getting launched to orbit. I think I see a Xavier Zanave in the fray there. I mean, this is just spectacular. Leo Delmas able to get through. Look at Jeremy Barber. There's Barber, who for some reason is racing in a Hello Kitty livery here today. So the drivers that are going to face substantial damage: Carl Hartwell, John Kasai, Gareth McAllister, Jace Meyer, Eric Guillory, Andrew Neri, all taking a tow onto pit road, will be done and out of this feature event. So unfortunately, the commentator's curse hitting Andrew Neri as the field slows down. So it looks like it is going to be Callaway holding on to the race lead here. David Iezzi, the number 29, down pit road. And we're going to be under eye-pacing conditions here at the Japanese Grand Prix. So I think with David Iezzi, let's see if that number 29 machine gets back out on track. I'm trying to think. I don't see Ben DePew's on pit road. He did not take a tow. So he may be able to rejoin the racing surface here. If he's not, as was David Iezzi, might have very rapidly broken this thing down to only 14 drivers out on track. Hopefully it's just going to be one lap of the safety car deploy. This is a painfully long lap behind our iRacing Porsche safety car. So looks like David Iezzi not going to rejoin the racing surface. I don't think Ben Depew is either. I think both of those drivers are out for the night, so we're going to whittle it down to 14 drivers rather quickly. So I believe with David letting us know rough. That's a good way to describe this one. I always say sometimes it's better to get crashed out on lap 1 than it is on lap 23. As the field looks to be coming down pit road. So I believe the rule is here that you can't box on lap 1. But driver is going to go ahead and get their one required stop out of the way under caution, except all the big hero himself, Leo Delmas, the number 21, stays out, sets the fastest lap of the race with a 3-minute 19.05 second lap time. And I believe we'll be getting credit for a lap led here at the Japanese Grand Prix. The drivers in the feature must have a mandatory tire change, as these cars cannot be refueled. Not sure what the strategy is by Leo Delmas, but it's going to be impressive. Now, Julian Madore, Jeremy Barber, and Xavier Zanave extended stays on pit road, so I'm wondering if they've got some damage here. So Delmas, current fastest lap of the race, a 3-minute 19-second lap time as we continue to roll under eye-pacing conditions. And Delmas, the only driver out on track who did not take tires on that stop. Now, Julian Madore did get back out on track after 1 minute and 20 seconds in his pit stall. Jeremy Barber, Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, still in pit road. As we see Madore, the number 78, hammering the throttle to catch up to the field. He's about 32 seconds back, and with about 4/10 of a lap to make that happen. And uh-oh, we got crashes under pit cautions here. Jacob Bramley has a moment. Let's see what happens here. Well, very embarrassing. Hate to see it. I'm sure he wishes that wasn't on the instant replay. But hey, that's life. Sometimes the broadcast giveth, sometimes it taketh away. So Delmas has a little bit warmer tires. Everybody else rolling out on fresh rubber underneath them, but really didn't get that much of a lap underneath him to get the tires fully up to temp. It's going to be interesting to see how this start goes. Xavier Zanave was able to rejoin the raceway, but he's almost an entire lap down as it looks like the field's getting set up to restart. Jeremy Barber still in pit road trying to get that number 13 machine pieced back together, but it's going to be a long task as he was involved in some heavy hits in that Hello Kitty back number 13 machine. Let's see, is the pace car going to come down pit road? Yes, it is at the very last second, so the start is going to be on Delmas, the number 21. Gets it fired up, and we are underway with the restart in the feature event. Delmas has some big shoes to fill. As I saw Ray Aguilar taking a peek to the inside line of Callaway. Callaway all eyes forward on Delmas, wants to take over that race lead, wants to keep Aguilar behind him. We saw how fast Callaway could be in the sprint with clean air on the front wing. The last thing he wants is to see the gearbox of Aguilar. Aguilar shoots up the inside line here, looks for an opportunity. Callaway closes the door. Jeremy Barber rolls back out on track. He's going to hold on to the 14th place spot, but he's going to be a lap down here. And who was that with a massive send? That was AJ Brenner licking the stamp and sending it in the number 80 machine. I thought for certain he was going to crash into Aguilar. So now Aguilar playing defense and pushes wide. Off track goes Aguilar. Brenner takes over the third place spot. Nick Beaver, the number 87 machine, looks for an opening here. Now Brenner and Callaway are teammates, so they may be a little bit of help as Aguilar goes careening around. Things are going bad to worse for the defending champion. He grabs a little bit of curbing there. AJ Brenner just clicks off the fastest lap of the race, but while that's going on, Jaden Callaway takes over the race lead from Leo Delmas. And now Delmas, at number 21, sits between the two Squid Gang Racing teammates. Nick Beaver looking hungry for a podium here in that number 87. Tucked in right behind. Beaver, I haven't normally seen him in open wheel racing, but when he gets in the cockpit, he can make it happen. Oh man, Brenner being extremely aggressive here. Brenner on the push to pass. Beaver looking to the outside line, nothing for it. The field stacking up behind. There is Shazi Zuhair, Ryan Tebow, Michael Fairchild, Jacob Bramley. Aguilar losing more spots than number 1. He must have some sort of damage. You can see his teammate, Antonio Bianchi, behind him. Look at this, Xavier Zanave way back in 13th. Almost a lap down, just at the fastest lap of the race on 139.99, so he's feeling very good here. Callaway holds on to the race lead. Delmas and Brenner still battling for second as they go side by side. Looks like, oh my goodness, I did not think Brenner was going to stay on track there. And Nick Beaver is going to slide through. Delmas losing 2 spots in that final corner as Callaway answers the fastest lap of the race on 138.29. Things are starting to heat up here at Suzuka. So Callaway starting to check out, 1.8 seconds up over his teammate AJ Brenner. Beaver in third has about 8/10 over Leo Delmas, and Delmas is about to have his hands full. That's Zuhair, Fairchild, Aguilar, Tebow, all in a freight train here. And we just had a report that was AJ Brenner off track. as well as Nick Beaver. And the field stacking up, not enough real estate. And now Aguilar is going to pay back the favor. Elbows out here in Super Formula. So the podium keeps changing. It's still Callaway up front. Now Nick Beaver all the way up into second. Leo Delmas holds on to third. But Zuhair, Fairchild, Aguilar, Brenner all the way back to seventh now. It's going to be an uphill battle. Now we know Delmas is going to have to pit here at least some point in the race or face disqualification. There is that mandatory tire stop. Jacob Bramley involved in a little bit of a bobble. As there goes Devin Hughes, Julian Midori trying to capitalize as well. Callaway once again the fastest lap of the race. And Tony Bianchi, actually let's pan a little bit further up. Look at this. Fairchild and Aguilar side by side. Fairchild working the inside line. AJ Brenner trying to muscle his way through once more. There's been nothing but elbows out for Brenner and Aguilar trying to muscle through this field here. Now Aguilar second in points behind current race leader Jaden Callaway. Wants to try and control the bleeding here. Doesn't want Callaway to get too many points uncontested. But it is an absolute dogfight here in third. Delmas trying to hold on to it, even though he's still got a box. Shazi Zuhair looking for that podium to make it back-to-back here, but a big lock up there from Zuhair. That's going to stack things up behind him. Fairchild, Aguilar, Brenner. Now Bianchi joining the party. Oh, this is going to be tight. Now this is where things can go really well or really bad for these drivers when they're running so nose to tail. Delmas doing a great job defending, but there's contact between Zuhair and Fairchild. Aguilar trying to make a move on Fairchild down the start-finish line straight. We are side by side. Everybody looking for a draft partner, almost as if it's an oval super speedway here. Oh, and I just heard somebody. Fairchild and Aguilar off track. Aguilar takes a tow. He is done and out of it. Fairchild able to restart, so let's see what happens here. Just wheel-to-wheel contact, and Aguilar is definitely going to get the brunt of it. Doesn't look like he's that damaged. And I think just throws his hands up in frustration and says, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Ryan Tebow comes down pit road under his own power, that number 27 machine. In and out very quickly. We've whittled it down to 13 drivers out on track, 12 of which are on the lead lap. We've got Gareth McAllister, unfortunately, join us from the spectator area after a dismal start to the feature. And gotta agree with the world-famous Aussie. I mean, the aggressiveness we were seeing this early on in the feature, there was no way that was going to end positively for anybody. Callaway once again clicking off very fast laps on 137.12. Now we're watching the battle between Zuhair and Delmas, the battle for third. I'm wondering if Zuhair is just going to kind of take it easy here, knowing that the number 21 machine in front of him is still yet to stop for that mandatory tire change. Has to be careful though. AJ Brenner sitting in fifth. I'm not sure if Brenner has sustained any damage. I mean, he's been involved in a couple of wheel-to-wheel incidents. But if Zuhair lets Brenner get too close, we know Brenner not afraid to make some aggressive passes here. Also, don't count out Antonio Bianchi sitting in 6th. He is up 15 positions. 2 drivers up 15 spots, Bianchi and Delmas. But Bianchi cycled in on pit road under caution. We go on board Shazi Zuhair, the number 10 machine, running 4th. He's a half second back from Leo Delmas, about 3/10 up over AJ Brenner. Oh, these guys are trying to work the draft against each other. Brenner so incredibly deep on the brakes. Into that final chicane, closes the gap. Zuhair does the exact same to Delmas, so it's going to be a draft battle coming down the start-finish line. Zuhair hops out of line. You can see Bianchi trying to catch a toe as we go 3 wide. AJ Brenner not afraid to throw it in on turn 1 and makes it happen. A very, very clean pass for Brenner. So Brenner moves up in that final podium spot. Shazi Zuhair also making his way around Leo Delmas. Now it's going to be Antonio Bianchi's turn to try and get around this soft-spoken Frenchman. Jacob Bramley rolling in and out of pit road for his 1 mandatory stop. So the only driver out of the circuit at this point who has yet to box, Leo Delmas, that number 21 machine, tried something different on strategy. I don't think it's going to play well here. I mean, he'd really need another safety car for that strategy to be viable at all. Jaden Calloway in a world of his own, almost 7 seconds up over his closest competition. Speaking of competition, the battle for 3rd, far but settled as we're watching AJ Brenner, Shazi Zuhair nose to tail. Brenner trying to shake the draft off of Zuhair. Oh, a heavy checkup from Zuhair. He was worried about getting into the back of Brenner. And that's going to feed 9/10 of a second back to the favor of that number 80 machine. Another battle going on. Looks like Devin Hughes getting comedy from Julie Mador. Now we got word from race control Joseph Penn, and testing before the season started, it was found that in the case of a mid-race safety car, cars that pit at the halfway point would have a bigger advantage over the cars that did not pit. But how does that play into the lap 1 or lap 2 pit cycle? Midori and Hughes still separated by about a quarter of a second. Midori trying to get the draft off of Hughes in that number 60 machine. And this is definitely the tightest battle out on track. Now we still have a possible battle for 3rd with Brenner and Zuhair. I think maybe Nick Beaver as well. Let's pan the camera up. No, it's not. It's going to be Zuhair, Brenner, Zuhair, and Bianchi. Bianchi has crawled his way up here tonight. Started P21, now P5, 16 spots gained for the Italian Stallion. And I wonder, with all these drivers coming down pit road on the second lap, if the lack of pit strategy is going to play much of a factor here. Here we go, Bianchi trying to set up against Zuhair, has to hop back in line into the chicane, couldn't quite pull the trigger, at least not safely, so well done to Bianchi having the forethought, giving up a little bit there to maybe keep up with Zuhair. Brenner holding about a 7/10 gap over Zuhair. Bianchi looking for an opening that just doesn't quite pop up here. Now we are past the halfway mark, but not expecting any any pit stops, except for Leo Delmas, the lone driver out on track who did not box under caution. Still 13 drivers out on track. And here goes Bianchi looking to take another shot of it. We got a crash report. Jeremy Barber, one of the fan favorites, the Hello Kitty back 13. Well, I'm not quite sure what the off track there was from. But comes in hot, locks it up, and then takes his sweet time getting back out on the circuit. Thankfully, no harm, no foul, as he is running a lap down and not really any competition to be found near him. Bianchi and Zuhair continue to battle for fourth. You can see the drivers snaking behind AJ Brenner, looking for that draft off the back of the number 80 machine as Brenner holds on to third. Oh, Bianchi way off the line, cuts it down low to try and get a better drive. Zuhair blocks the position and will hold on to fourth for a little while longer here. And very impressed, despite how hard Zuhair and Bianchi are battling for that fourth place spot, AJ Brenner not pulling that big of a gap. Zuhair and Bianchi maintaining about a 7 to 8/10 gap between themselves and the third place driver. As it looks like Zuhair gaining a little bit of ground. Brenner doing everything he can just to hammer down, focus on the clean air. His closest competition up front, Nick Beaver, 3.6 seconds ahead. So Brenner trying to keep his eyes forward here and just leave Zuhair and Bianchi to their own devices. Callaway once again the fastest lap of the race, a 1:36.86. While that's going on, Bianchi tries the outside line against Zuhair. Looks like he might make it happen here. Yes, Bianchi pulls up into fourth, but he's going to lose almost 2/3 to AJ Brenner, who sits in third. Now we're going to see, does that number 17 machine have the pace to try and get in podium contention? Brenner 9/10 ahead of Bianchi as he holds on to third. Bianchi, the number 17, has gained 17 positions, but you see a big lockup there. You can tell Bianchi really digging deep at this point. Unfortunately, Jacob Bramley is going to join the long list of drivers retiring from this feature event. Let's see what happened to Bramley. A heavy amount of curbing there car snaps, and around he goes and just spread parts everywhere. I think that might have even been like an alt 4 situation where he just says, I'm turning it off. I've had enough sim racing for the week. So it looks like now we have whittled it down to only 12 drivers out on track. Julian Medore getting some love from the fans as well as the fellow racers. The number 78 machine up 3 spots from where he started here. And the list of drivers rapidly declining. It's not the worst attrition we've ever seen before in a Super Formula race, but it is a pretty spectacular one. As we're focusing on Antonio Bianchi trying to track down Brenner, but it looks like Zuhair mounting a charge forward as well. But man, Jaden Calloway, a 136.81 keeps getting faster and faster here. And so far, a bit of an off track there for Bianchi. I was getting ready to say, so for the last couple laps have been a little bit calmer as the field starts to settle. If we're going to see any major racing, barring any crazy incidents, I think it's going to be this battle for third. AJ Brenner holding still about a 1 second gap, a 1.1 second gap over Antonio Bianchi. Bianchi 6/10 up over Zuhair, but Zuhair starting to close that gap here. Getting down to within 6/10 of a second. Now something has happened to Jeremy Barber. The Hello Kitty back number 3 up to Antonio Bianchi. These drivers are battling for hundredths of a second to best their peers, and it can be so extremely frustrating when you're right there. You think you have the pace, and then just you see it dwindle away by a 10th here, a 10th there, as we see that Zuhair losing a couple of tenths to Bianchi. I'm wondering if this is the tire wear we're starting to see. Now, I say that, but Callaway, the last 3 laps, has set the fastest lap of the race. If you look on the track map on the bottom right hand of your screen, you can see what about a 10-second gap looks like in the favor of Callaway. I'm curious to see if Callaway can once again set a fast lap here. I believe he still has push to pass in reserve, helping with those lap times just ever so slightly. We'll see what's going to be for Callaway. Last time by a 136.8. What's it going to be this time? A 136.51. Continues to improve here. Trap speed last time by 186 miles an hour was his fastest speed gain. Oh, we've got big problems for Julian Madore. I think he's going to take a tow back to pit road here. A relative newcomer to League Zero. And just gets a little bit loose, and then the car gets all explodey on him. So unfortunately, Madore joining a very lengthy list of drivers on pit road. We have whittled it down to only 11 drivers with 5 laps left to go here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Let's see, Callaway, can he get another fast lap? I mean, it is pretty much the Jaden Callaway show at this point. Clicking off extremely fast laps. It was a 136.51 his lap prior, 136.61. So he has just ever so slightly missed out on besting his fastest lap of the race 3 times in a row. But Callaway can pretty much put it in cruise control at this point. I'm curious to see. So after the sprint race tonight, Callaway has taken over the lead for most wins of the season. Coming into tonight, the Japanese Grand Prix, he was tied with Aguilar, 4 wins each. Squid Gang Racing versus Avanti Motorsports. Now tonight, Callaway for certain will take over the race lead stat as far as most wins go. Oh, we've got problems for Bianchi. Bianchi limping it in the number 17 machine. The exact same spot that caught him in the sprint. So Bianchi takes a tow. Let's count it down to 10. 10 drivers on track at this point who have not been forced into an early retirement. We've got 4 laps left to go. We're going to make it 3 as Jaden Callaway comes through the chicane. Callaway, a very comfortable 10-second gap over the rest of the field. And again, sets the fastest lap of the race, a 136.36. It's been a bit of a wild night for the drivers. As we show 10 drivers out on track, 9 still on the lead lap. But I think your race leader, Jaden Callaway, not too far behind Xavier Zanave, running 9th in the number 12 machine. I think Zanave may have enough laps here to make it to the end without getting overtaken. I don't know. Callaway closing that gap very quickly. He was about 3 seconds a lap faster the last time they both crossed the line. So Zanave might be struggling to stay on the lead lap here. A little bit of curbing there for Callaway. Has to be careful not to let the attrition become a factor. And I don't think it's going to be an issue. Another fastest lap of the race, a 136.13. Callaway is on fire here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Alex Penn letting us know Jeremy Barber was looking for a top 18 tonight. Has locked himself into a top 10. He can pull over right now and have an adult beverage, but that top 10 will not be taken away, as he is the only driver, I believe, out on track here. Or there's no other driver behind Barber out on track, I should say. So statistically impossible unless he somehow gets a disqualification, which would be extremely impressive. Barber, I believe, will get his first top 10 here at the league. I'm going to do a little bit of digging here. This will be Jeremy Barber's 8th start here at League 0. Out of the 6 starts prior to tonight, he had 1 DNF, has not gained a top 10 finish yet this season. In fact, his average finish is around a 17th place. His career best, a 13th back July 27th at Spa. So if Barber can somehow bring home this top 10 and just keep it going, as Callaway, again, the fastest lap of the race, the man can't be touched. Barber looking good here to bring home some first ever career points here at League 0. We talked to Barber before tonight's races, and basically the goal he is saying was, hey, I'm just going to kind of take it easy, keep my nose clean, and see if I can just kind of survive this thing, and it's going very well for him. Now Callaway has caught up to traffic. That is going to be Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, running in 9th. So I believe Zanave will be going down a lap. Yep, there you go. You see Zanave, see the blue flag, gives the virtual hand out the window saying, hey, I see you, Jaden. Let me hop out of the way real quickly. Ooh, Callaway flat tracking the back end of that 37. So the white flag will come out next time by for Callaway, who's getting faster and faster, and I didn't think it was possible throughout this run, but he's feeling extremely good here. I keep thinking that tire wear is going to come into play, but Callaway continues to prove us wrong up here in the booth. White flag is indeed out for Jaden Callaway. A comfortable 11-second gap. Brenner sitting in 3rd, Zuhair 4th, Devin Hughes rounds out the top 5, and the top 5, coincidentally, half of the drivers that are still out on track at this point. A half lap left remaining for Jaden Callaway. The Squid Gang Racing number 37 machine looking very, very good here. Callaway, we talked about earlier, was the first driver to go with back-to-back wins in one night here at League 0. And he's going to do it again in dominant fashion. So keep an eye out. Jaden Callaway has been slowly getting better over the last couple of seasons. And now he is a title contender, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together. Jaden Callaway brings home the win at the Japanese Grand Prix number 4 in dominant fashion in that 37 machine. Callaway pulling over to celebrate. Nick Beaver's going to get 2nd. And AJ Brenner will round out the top 3. And the teammate celebrating in style here. Putting it on the podium. I think Nick Beaver's celebrating too. He's just happy to be a part of it. We've got Callaway, we've got Beaver. We're waiting on AJ Brenner to make his way up here to the interview room. And we will get the party started. Up first, we got the Texas native, AJ Brenner, joined us, a third place finish. AJ, it was a lot of elbows out throughout the evening, but able to bring home a third in that number 80 machine and keep it relatively calm the last few laps.
Yeah, it was an interesting start. Things got a little chaotic, and then I lost it through the grass by myself, so I had a lot to work back from. But got my elbows out, and it worked out in the end. So pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, that night is seeing, I mean, all around through it tonight, a bit of a roller coaster. Had the pace up front, an incident towards the back, then having to fight back forward. So that's got to be frustrating as a driver to not really be able to get in your groove like you were hoping for.
Yeah, it's a skill issue apparently.
And now, is that what your teammates said, or is that something different?
Oh no, that's exactly what they said.
With friends like these, who needs enemies? But got to be happy. The teammates on both ends of the podium, a great points night for you guys. And again, clean race car, so you got to be pretty happy, all things considered.
Yeah, overall it was a great race. Had some really fun times in the last 15 laps or so, just pacing out. So car felt great, and yeah, had a good time.
Well, awesome, AJ. Good to have you back up here in the top three. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
I was gonna give a shout out to Squid Gang Racing.
Awesome. AJ, always a pleasure, and hope to have you back up here next week, bud.
I appreciate it, James.
Thank you, sir. That was AJ Brenner bringing it home in third, but well, who do we have here? None other than Nick Beaver up on the podium. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I know, this is awesome. I mean, I've seen you race plenty of other cars, mostly closed wheel, but I think this might be one of the best open wheel results I've seen from you yet.
It might be with the, let's say, the difficulty of the car to finish ratio, pretty good. I've had some luck when they ran F3 here, but I'll take a podium in something as crazy as this.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, we saw, I mean, most of tonight, we had our fair share of car-on-car contact, but most of the night, it seemed like little incidents where drivers would grab just a few inches too much curbing, and the car would try and rapidly spit you off the track.
Right. That happened to me in qualifying, I think, and it happened to AJ. He was talented enough to hang on to it. Man, he had some pace. So, I was keeping my eye on the relative, keep an eye on AJ. But he was coming.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well for you. Now, Nick, how hard is it to go between all the different cars that you race on iRacing? I mean, Wednesday nights, I know you're in a different car every other week, and then come out at Super Formulas on Thursday. That's got to be a tough transition.
It is. I guess it's not so much car to car in the way I look at it. It's kind of categorizing it by downforce. So some nights we run GTE, and they have downforce, but not a lot. And then we run LMP3, middle downforce, and then something like this, high downforce. And then there are cars that fit into the same categories. So I feel like if you can get the hang of one car of each category, you're going to do okay in other cars in that same category, if that makes sense. So this race, I learned a lot just in the racing alone here. But yeah, great car. I haven't run it all that much, but I'm loving it so far.
Well, Nick, it's always good to have you up here in the booth and everything you race in. Congratulations, a big second place in the Super Formula. And before I let you go and celebrate, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this happen for you?
I'll shout out to Eric Fox and Steve. Don't know his last name. We call him simply Steve. They didn't persuade me to get back into it, but they inspired me to get back into this league. So thanks to them. Thanks, James, for putting on the broadcasts. I always immediately go back and watch them. And then congratulations, Jaden. That was a hell of a drive. Nice job on the win.
Awesome, Nick. Always a pleasure, bud, and hope to have you back up in the booth very, very soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a very lovable Nick Beaver bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Jaden Calloway. Welcome the second time, going back to back, bringing it home, sweeping the night. I mean, just dominance is probably the best word to describe this.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a good race. Nick, at the end there, he was starting to pick up the pace, so he kept me on my toes. But there were no mistakes. The pace was good, so it was a good night overall.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. It seemed like this was a night where mistakes multiplied for your competitors while you're able to keep hitting those marks, hitting those reference points repeatedly without big any issues. How much seat time did you put in before this evening's race to really hone in your program?
I got a good few hours of practice at least. I always try to make sure I practice hard, and it makes it easy to race right under the limit, and it works out.
And then referencing your practicing, some of the fans at home, they can appreciate hot lapping, which was fortunately what you got to do a lot of here tonight out there by yourself. But how much seat time do you have to put in to get, maybe offline practice when you're elbow to elbow with competitors and taking alternative lines so you're comfortable everywhere you put that car on track?
The same amount. Usually I try to practice with at least one other person. If it's not my teammate, it'll be a friend or someone else who drives the car. So it's not like you're just by yourself the whole time.
Gotcha. Well, it seemed like it worked out very well for you here tonight. I mean, extending that points lead, a dominant performance, hands down the fastest driver out there tonight. And you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helped you bring home the clean sweep here today?
As always, my friends and family watching, my team, Squid Gang Racing, my teammate AJ, and you and the guys at Team Goon Squad for always doing a great job with these broadcasts.
Well, couldn't do it without you, Jaden. Always a pleasure, buddy, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Thank you. Hope to be back.
That was Jaden Calloway bringing it home. Back-to-back wins here at League Zero, the Japanese Grand Prix. In the feature event, it was Jaden Calloway the top spot. Nick Beaver finishing second, and AJ Brenner rounding out the top three. As always, on behalf of LeagueZero.net, my name is James East. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you all so much for spending your Thursday night with us, cheering on the racers, supporting the broadcast, as well as supporting the league. See you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.